Hi, my name is Carly, and there's a good chance that April went by without you hearing that April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month and Sexual Assault Awareness Month. But there is a really good chance that you've heard of the Me Too movement, how some women stepped out into a social platform and spoke about their truth about sexual harassment and sexual assault. It is only when society gathers behind the victims to support them, to express empathy, to express that they are not alone, that healing will happen. It's my hope that by sharing this video about my childhood sexual abuse, more and more victims will speak out, like people have for the Me Too movement. When I was a child, I was sexually molested from my earliest memory of 5 years of age up until when I was about 11 years old. Like with over 90% of cases reported, it was someone that I knew. My elder sister's husband, Victor. My family found out and the abuse stopped when my sister-in-law overheard me telling my twin sister that I thought that I was pregnant. I still remember vividly when my mom asked, "Is it true?" She asked me to share. She told me that I would be protected and that the perpetrator would be punished for what he did. I yearned to no longer bear the weight of this. It was crushing me. I wanted to be seen, to no longer be alone, and to be protected. Fearfully seeking help and wanting to be rescued, I told my mom, "I want to tell you, but I don't want to hate you. I know nothing's going to change," which was my greatest fear. Somehow I could manage and live through the sexual abuse, but I couldn't bear the idea of my family knowing and them not doing anything about it. Sadly, that is what happened in my case. My sister and her child molesting husband wined and dined my parents. They groomed them like they groomed me. I didn't see them choosing me over her, the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. I knew that I could not compete with them, or her, that I had nothing to offer. Perpetrators manipulate everyone into thinking they are amazing, feeding the egos of everyone in the victim's life, gaining trust and favor well before they attack. This is what makes them so dangerous. I'm grateful to my mom, who had the courage to stand up to the perpetrator and my sister. But unfortunately, my mother didn't have the right skill set to navigate this in a way that empowered me. Unfortunately, the way that things were handled, it caused more trauma. I was seated in front of my sister and the child molester, forced to relive the events of child abuse, only to be scrutinized and to be told that I was a liar, to try to be convinced that I didn't know what I was talking about, and that I was wrong. That's where I witnessed the power of denial. My sister was so adamant in protecting her husband that she volunteered my brother or my father to have been the perpetrator instead of her husband. I refused to allow the child molester or my sister to silence me, to pressure me out of the truth. After being told that they weren't welcome back at the house, the child molester stormed out, calling me a wicked witch. But what felt like a few weeks, not even a few months, went by, and they were back at the house, laughing and living life as normal. Everyone but me could go back to that lie. I couldn't do it anymore. I refused to be in the same room as a child molester, or to spend holidays with them. I experienced severe isolation as I was continuously guilted into just moving on and to stop being difficult. I experienced severe depression, had suicide attempts, and ideations, and my thoughts were filled with thoughts of vengeance. I was consumed by rage. Had it not been for my aptitude in academics and my dedication to get ahead, I don't know what would have come of my life. I would have succumbed to easily killing the perpetrator or myself. I channeled my rage and my thoughts of vengeance constructively to earning my biomedical engineering degree at Northwestern University. I didn't receive clinical support to develop healthy coping skills or learn how to integrate this experience in a way that allowed me to step outside victimhood. I'd have developed the best coping skills I could. It wasn't always the best, but it was my best. I was experiencing severe depression and suicidal ideations yet again at Northwestern, and it was there through their women's services that I received clinical support for the first time regarding the child molestation. But it was a Pandora's box. Because of the academic rigor of the engineering program, I had a tough choice to make. I either dealt with the past that was boiling over into my present, causing PTSD, affecting my exams, affecting my friendships and my relationships, or I would stuff it down further and channel my energy again into graduating with my degree. I chose to graduate, and I did so in 4 years. It's only when I moved out of state and had the space and new resources became available to me that I found layers of healing. A new church that I started attending in Cincinnati, called Crossroads, offers a childhood sexual trauma workshop that is very informative and gave me the language and tools to navigate my experience more effectively. Like I mentioned earlier, the child molester is my brother-in-law, and he is still married to my sister, so unfortunately he is still a part of the family, and that part of the family adamantly denies that he molested me and has tried to make me the bad person in this situation. I no longer carry the misplaced guilt and shame of being sexually molested and the symptoms of such trauma. I have found my voice, and I now live from my core and divine identity. I will no longer be silenced. I share my experience so others will speak out, so that people who have never experienced similar traumas can get a glimpse of how complex and insidious childhood sexual abuse is. Like in most scenarios, my family didn't flat out deny the truth, but they passively did with their actions. They didn't do anything of substance to protect me, to make me feel loved, supported, and empowered. They pretended as if nothing happened, and they pressured me to just move on. Moving on to them meant stop talking about it. Just sit at the table across from the child molester and eat your food like everyone else does, with a smile on your face. Saying things like, just don't talk to him, or just move on, marginalizes and re-victimizes the victim. I want you to know that moving on is not just going back to how things were, pretending, smiling through the pain. That's denial and cognitive dissonance. Moving on is knowing your core identity, forgiving yourself, forgiving the perpetrator, and all those who did not stand by you. You are enough, and as great as it would be is for family and friends and society to love, support, and protect you. If there is one person in the world, it should always be you who stands by your side. Moving on is cutting ties with what is meant to control you, to take your power away. It is taking back choice and making choices that align with your core identity, and to not avoid or to step into overcoming, which is what most people do as a way of protecting themselves and integrating with society. It's breaking ties with or setting boundaries with those who have hurt you or didn't stand by your side. The nature of child abuse and sexual assault requires a choice to be made. You either stand with the victim or you're standing with the perpetrator. Like with what I shared, as a preteen, I learned that people run away from what is difficult, from vulnerability and accountability. It is this deadly combination that empowers child molesters to molest child after child. No one wants to believe that it can happen to them. The statistics indicate otherwise. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys are sexually molested before the age of 18. And the sad truth is that the perpetrators are parents, siblings, coaches, priests, pastors, neighbors. It's everyone. And they are not limited to socioeconomic, race, religion, or gender. So what can you do about child molestation and sexual assault? Understand that it's complicated and profound. And my advice is to always stand with the victim, to have a conversation, and to navigate best how you can be an ally. Offer support by listening to them, by creating an emotionally and physically safe environment. Be sensitive to their triggers. See PTSD resources for additional information. Know that there are added layers of complexity for someone who has experienced child abuse and sexual assault. There is an emotional toll for family functions, birthdays, holidays, funerals. So I recommend getting certified to become a steward for children through the organization Darkness to Light. The program offers a simple training on how to spot signs and symptoms of someone who has experienced sexual abuse and equips you with tools on how to prevent and spot a perpetrator from abusing a child. Looking at this from a societal point of view, we need to have greater consequences for child abusers and sexual abusers, with automatic removal from any position and a limitation to what types of jobs they could obtain. There needs to be a change in trial proceedings in a way that the process does not re-victimize the victim or add new layers of trauma. The sheer nature of cross-examination and smear campaigns can be very detrimental and traumatizing. There should be transparency and guidelines available on how to seek justice. Video tutorials, step-by-step processes clearly outlined, so that way families, friends, or anyone who's willing to step up knows how to appropriately respond. We need better health care. People who experience adverse childhood experiences are more likely to develop health problems in their adulthood. The financial burden should not be placed on the victim, but instead the perpetrator. And there should be established societal support to help mitigate financial burden, but also to increase the intersectional resources to better provide for the needs of someone who has gone through such traumas. And equip them with healthy coping skills and how to navigate and set healthy boundaries. These skills are pivotal for being a successful part of society and to prevent additional trauma. Very importantly, there needs to be workplace accommodation. With bullying, sexual harassment, racism, preferential treatment, sexism, all these layers further complicate the experience for someone who has gone through such traumas. Workplaces should be safe for everyone. Stop sexual harassment, stop bullying, stop sexism, stop racism. Petition your local church or neighborhood organization to provide childhood sexual trauma workshops and sexual abuse support groups. These resources need to be widely spread and made readily available. Thank you so much for listening, for opening up your heart, and for your support. I hope this video reaches whoever it needs to, and that you know that you are loved, adored, and supported. I encourage you to be strong, to embrace the discomfort, to show empathy, to create a safe space for someone to be vulnerable and to be heard, to be witnessed, and to be honored. Together we can heal. Together we can stop child abuse and sexual assault.